Good morning, friends. Brian here from the Wilson Family Lights. So we are continuing with our DIY series on how to get your Halloween or Christmas display up and running. We've talked about a couple of prop builds. We've talked about Light-O-Rama a little bit. I am offering some free sequences for Light-O-Rama. All you need to do is go on to our YouTube page, like, comment, and subscribe. Once you've done that, send me a message through whichever social that you normally check us out on, Facebook, Instagram, or X, and I will be happy to give you the link to the Google Drive that I have 10 fully ready to go 16 channel sequences for you to get your Light-O-Rama up and running. Remember, with Light-O-Rama you can run your lights so they'll flicker to the music. You can play the music so people can hear it through different types of speakers. You can also synchronize everything up to video. And one of the things we do every year is we do a radio station. This is a portable radio station that you can buy on Amazon or whoever you choose to do for your purchasing needs. And basically I think it's like 1.5 watts. This is the one I picked up a couple years ago that I use. This is the one that I had that was original when I had it back on the other side of town and then back in Massachusetts. This is the newer version of that. Basically, the way it works is you've got your on and off, you've got your volume, you've got your mix in, as well as a microphone here, which you don't use. And then on the back, you've got power, you've got a fan, and then you've got a place here to put an antenna. And this is the style antenna that we use because it's the easiest and it's relatively inexpensive. This one actually came with this kit. That just goes into the back here and snaps in, and you're good to go. This will do your whole neighborhood, basically. A lot of people are under the misconception that you have to have an FCC license to broadcast over the public airways. That is true up to a mile away from where you are. Large radio stations like they had back in the old days, we've got the Hog here in the Daytona area. Radio was it. There was no satellite, there was no internet, there was none of that. Radio was it, AM and FM. I'm old enough that I remember when AM was primary and FM was secondary. Then it transferred over. But then again, I'm an old fart. So the FCC allows you to publicly broadcast your display, or if you wanted to do a radio station, stay at school, you wanted to have it just on campus. There's different things that you can do. As long as it doesn't transmit more than roughly a mile away, you're all set. You don't have to have any type of special license for it. So we use this style here, which, like I said, will do a mile, a little over a mile. Certainly anybody who's out in my front yard or sitting out in front of the house, they can hear it very nicely. This here, these two buttons will allow you to bring your radio station up and down. Basically, you can tune it in to whatever FM frequency that is not in use in your area. What I suggest people do is you get your hands on an AM/FM radio, or you go out to your car. Most cars still have an AM/FM radio in it. Go to FM, and then just start turning the dial. Get to a frequency where all you're hearing is static. No distance music. You're not going to hear, Father Bateman out there going, hallelujah, praise the Lord. You're not going to tune yourself into the evangelical channel that's local to you. You want to get to a channel or a frequency, 98.6 we'll say. Where I am here, I use 100.1. No one uses that frequency. That's certainly within the mile that I'm going to be broadcasting over. So that's what we use. This will allow you to go to 100.1. And then what you do is you get a splitter. You've got an 1/8 inch, and I've got dual 1/8 inch females on this side. Take one end, plug it in. For me specifically, I use RCA, which is what you see cables in the back of your old stereo system and stuff. These go into the back of my PA system. So I'm coming off of my computer, which I'll show you in a second, and I'm splitting the audio signal that comes out of the computer. One side's going to go to my PA. You can use an old home stereo if you still have one lying around that's not in use. You can use that to power speakers outside to run your... Whoops. It's a little bit early for me to be drunk. You can use an old stereo system to power your speakers outside. Basically, it's the same thing. You put this into the back of the stereo system where it says, say, cassette player or CD player, and then you hit your receiver to go to whatever you've plugged it into, and then this will allow you to play music out to the masses in your display. So that goes in there. This side goes into your power source for whatever you're using for speakers, whether it's a PA system or an old stereo system. This is my Light-O-Rama show computer. I run 2 computer systems on my display only because I run xLights as well. And while you can run them both from one computer, I've found it's a giant pain in the rump, so I just go with 2 separate computers. All right, so as I said, this is going into your stereo system. Don't need that right now. The other side, you're going to take an 1/8 inch jack jumper cable is what this is called. So this is just a 6-foot wire that has 2 1/8 inch jumpers. This side was going over to your stereo. You plug it into the other side that's open on your splitter. Remember, this is an 1/8 inch male going into 2 1/8 inch females. So this side's going off to your stereo system. You turn on your thing, your display. You're going to hear music. You're going to hear talking or whatever else going out through. You then take this side and put it into the audio jack on the front of your radio system. I'll put a couple of part numbers in the description of this video so you see what you can pick up on Amazon that would work. So this connects to the other side of your splitter, and then this goes into the computer. So again, coming out of your computer, you're going into this, going into your Y. One side goes to your radio station. Second side goes to your stereo system or PA. And then at that point, what I suggest people do is find an old radio, turn it on, go to your FM channel that you've decided that you're going to use, and then see how loud it is while it's playing over your radio station. You can then fine-tune your volume. If you're running at max, it's going to distort, and it's going to sound horrible, and you're going to sound like the Peanuts teacher. Wah, 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 wah. That's all you're going to hear. I run it at roughly half. That gives me plenty of power to go out that people can hear it if they're in front of my house. I've got neighbors who are a little bit down the street. They'll occasionally listen to the show because they know about this and they talk to me about it. This will allow you to have, like I said, radio transmission of your display out for people who, A, can't get out of their car, they're handicapped, they're older, whatever, or B, if they show up and it's raining and they don't want to get out and look at your display, they can't do your walkthrough because it's raining, they can still enjoy looking at the lights and what have you and listening to the music. I do a walkthrough, so it's a little bit different for me. A lot of people will strictly have people out at the road. They drive up. They sit in front of the house for 15 minutes listening to the show, watching the lights. This enables them to really hear the music. Otherwise, they've got to put down their window. You've got to have your stereo system loud. You're going to piss off the neighbors, and before you know it, you're going to have protesting going on out in front of your house. Hell no, we don't want the radio. Hell no, we don't want the radio. You don't want that. So this avoids that. So once again, this is your portable radio station that you can run your music that you're running in your display out over a regular FM radio source so people can enjoy while they're sitting in their car. So if anybody has any questions, by all means, private message me. I'm happy to go through it. I'll even get on a Zoom call or whatever. We can FaceTime. I can walk you through the whole process. It's pretty easy. It's pretty self-explanatory. But there again, like I said, I'm happy to help out anybody who's got any questions. We appreciate you checking out the channel. And if you really enjoy this type of information, this video you're finding is helpful, or some of my other ones, please subscribe to our various socials as we're trying to get this channel up and running. Once again, Brian here from the Wilson Family Lights. We are on YouTube, we are on Facebook, we are on Instagram, and we are on X. All right, my friends, thanks very much. Enjoy your evening. All right, so we're going to do the whole setup real quick, step by step. All right, I've got my last year's show computer here. That other computer I showed you is going to be my new one for this year to run Light-O-Rama. So we've got our radio station, got our cords, and I've got my PA set up right here, and I've got my radio. So, as I was saying, we've been using 100.1 for the last 10 years. Well, wouldn't you know it, off season, someone decided that they needed to use that channel. So, we are going with 88.8 right now. I'll have to play around with some other channels to see what we're going to actually go with. Alright, so here's my splitter. Going to go into the audio jack on the laptop. Left and right is now coming out. So I've got the radio set to 88.8. We're now in the audio side, not the microphone side. I've only got my short antenna on here because that's all we need for right now. So then we're going to take the other split cable. It's got RCAs on one end, and it's got an 1/8 end on the other end. We're going to go into the open side of the splitter, and then we're going to put red and white into the input, or line in, on my PA. And there's that. So comes out of the PA, goes into half of the splitter, goes into the computer. Other side comes out, follows around, goes into your radio station. Now we will play Dragula. Now we have audio playing out of the radio like it's a radio station. So right now, 88.8 FM is WDIE, the last channel you'll ever listen to. This was the Dragula video that we synced up from last year. We're going to use it again this year. That's also another pro tip. When you make your Light-O-Rama sequences, they're good forever. So you can either sync up a new video or you just reuse them. Typically what I will do is I will use some from the previous years and add in 2 or 3 new ones every year. So you got your radio going into our PA. So I'm now going to shut off my radio and turn on the PA. Now we've got sound coming out of the PA. Put the radio back on. So now we've got audio coming out of 2 sources. All right, so that's the video on how to set up your radio station for your display. The way we're setting it up there gives you 2 audio sources. Allows you to have it through the radio system, so people, when they come up and they sit in front of your display, they can listen to what you're playing. And it also allows you to have a speaker system out in the yard, whether it's through the radio, you stick an old RCA out in the yard, or you run a PA or stereo system for a larger, much louder soundscape for your display. You can run both. It's pretty easy, as you see in the video. Take you about 10 minutes to really set up everything. I'm going to give you some links to various parts that you can get on Amazon. The whole thing would probably run you about, it's under $100. Now, I know some people are going to go $100, but that's something you're going to be able to use for the rest of the days that you do your display, year after year after year. So it's an investment that you make the first year, but moving forward, you don't have to worry about it anymore. And as I said, you don't have to worry about FCC because you're doing such a small amount of power that you're only doing it locally. So within a mile or so, people can hear the radio station. If you have any questions, like I said, PM me. I'm happy to help out. I'll go through the whole thing with you. We can get on Zoom, FaceTime. Like I said, we're happy to help here. All right, so Brian here from the Wilson Family Lights. We appreciate you checking out the video, and if you like this information that you're getting and you want to get more, please follow our socials. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and X. Thank you very much and have a good night.